Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Soshing with Suntwe. We've got a very special guest today. Her name is Ruth Pasi, a very, very interesting lady from Zimbabwe originally who now lives in Australia. For those of you who don't know, haven't been watching, and for those of you who are joining us from the podcast after the event, unfortunately, you're not live with us. This show is all about showcasing extraordinary people who do, well, actually, I stuffed that up. This is all about showcasing ordinary people who do extraordinary things. So my personal view on life is that there are no extraordinary people, that everybody is pretty much got the same capabilities and same potential, but some people just make extraordinary choices. And I wanted to explore what brings people to making those choices and what sort of mindsets and decisions are made that bring people to living more extraordinary lives than what we see every day. So I have a short little video that I'm going to, a 1 minute little clip about Ruth, just to give you an idea of who we're going to be talking to. And whilst we wait for the feed to populate and for me to share everything, take a look at this video. And if you are there, drop a comment drop a comment there saying where you're from, where you're watching from, tag your friends, bring whoever you want in, and yeah, let's get this show on the road. For those of you who also don't know, I'm Paul Teasdale. My nickname is Suntwe from the Zambezi, and this is a project that I've been really enjoying, exploring perspectives of all sorts of different perspectives on different topics from around the world. So I hope you enjoy. Have a look. This is Ruth.
One day I was walking, I went to the school. I spoke to the principal. I said, you know what, I want to take kids to Africa because I knew that it will break the barriers in people's lives. So that's why I started African Theatres. It's a journey. It changes them. You can never go there and come back the same. And most of the kids that I take, a lot of people say, oh, they're beyond, but they're not. The reason why kids are getting into depression is because they don't have hope. And hope is only found in helping other people. Take a child from here, take them to Africa. They are taking a walk in someone's shoes. It's a therapy, it's healing to them, and they start loving it. I know that it will change a young boy to be a good man in life. If I can make a difference in one child, it means they've saved the whole nation, the whole clan, the whole family. And this is what drives me.
So now you've got an idea of what it's all about. Let's introduce and give a warm welcome to Ruth. Welcome, Ruth.
Oh, hi, Paul. How are you?
Yes, good, thanks. So for the people who don't realize, Ruth is sitting in Australia right now at 3 a.m. in the morning. She kindly set an alarm to wake up to specifically join us for this thing. So, yeah, thank you for your dedication. Thank you for coming. Before we really get into it, just give us a bit of a background of where you're from in Zim, where you grew up, and your early life in Zimbabwe, and how you ended up moving to Australia.
Oh, thank you, Paul. Thank you for inviting me on this program. I feel honored. Well, I migrated to New Zealand before I came to Australia. So I migrated to New Zealand, I think in 2000 or 2001, I can't remember. But I went there because my brother was there. So I was visiting my brother. And then when I visited, that time they needed teachers, and I'm a teacher by profession. So I just stayed, and then I started teaching in New Zealand. And then years later, I moved to Australia because my brother had moved to Australia. So I'm sort of a follower of a brother. So I always follow him everywhere. So yeah, so in Zimbabwe, I grew up in Harare. I went to Misbehave Girls High, and I went to Afro-Bite School in the, it should be just central Harare. So yeah, but originally I'm from Chivu, which is in around Masvingo, Gutu area. So so that's how I came up to be in Australia.
Oh, amazing. So how long have you been there?
I've been in Australia. I've been here about 11 years.
Okay, so a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
Do you like it in Australia?
I do. I actually like the weather because it's similar like back home, where the summer is it's okay, and the winter is not that cold as the UK. So I
Yeah,
love the
that's
weather.
true.
The weather.
The UK winter is deadly.
Yeah.
Not only is it cold, but it's cold and wet.
Yes. So here the weather is similar to Zimbabwe, which is really great.
That's awesome. So we initially touched base when you introduced me to African theatres through my Facebook page. Is that correct?
That's right.
So I'm quite interested. How did you come across my page in the first place?
Oh, honestly, I can't. Who told me about? I can't. I really cannot remember. But I knew that you do something, so I just thought, okay, let me just try. I can't remember how I came across it, or whether I was just going on the Facebook or what. I can't remember.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Anyway, so we made contact. It must have been about a year ago already.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
initial contact. And so basically, it was about African theatres. Can you tell us the fundamental basics of what African theatres is and how you got started with that?
African theaters it actually originated from the morals of Africa. You know how in Africa we have a lot of morals and we have a lot of theater. Most of our children are disciplined through morals and through theater or through dance. So I knew that as a teacher with the teaching background, a child understands better when you do it in a story or in a dance rather than just telling children to do things. So as a teacher here and as a teacher in Zimbabwe, I saw the different things that that both continents can actually benefit. And I find out that the children that are in the Western world are very much depressed and very much unhappy, even though they've got all the gadgets and everything. And I found out that by using morals, they can understand better and they can become happier. So I wanted to find out what difference can I make to the children as a teacher. I always want to be with the kids. So I thought if I take kids from this continent to the other side of the world, they can actually see the difference in people, but actually ending up knowing that people are people and they can actually enjoy life more without relying on the gadgets, but just relying on humanity.
Are there specific children that you focus on, or is it just generally any sort of one that's interested?
I generally focus on young adults that trying to find themselves. You know, when you're a teenager, you really you're not sure where you want to go. I really want to focus on, or even anyone who is actually struggling in life and actually doesn't really know what to do. But anyone can come on the program as long as they benefit.
So what kind of age group are we looking at?
We're looking at between the ages of 15 to about 25, 26.
Oh, wow. Right up to 26, eh?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool. And yeah. Are you currently teaching as a career at the moment?
No, I'm not teaching as a career. I just concentrate on this program because I found this program benefits as a teacher. When you teach a child, you want them to benefit, you want them long term. So I find this program that the young adults benefit more because it's a lesson for life and it will never get away from their lives.
So is this your full 100% full-time focus, or do you have another focus?
Yes.
For you don't have another income stream or focus on something else?
No, I really just generally I focus on this one. I do sell a little bit of African stuff, but this is my main focus.
Oh wow, okay. And so how many trips a year do you plan on doing to back home?
I before the corona hits, I was planning to do at least about 2 trips a year because of the funding. But if I have the funding, I actually want to do every 2 months because it really
Oh,
actually
wow.
benefits. Yeah, it benefits the young adults, especially now. We find that a lot of incidents happens with the young adults in the streets, and there's a lot that goes on among youth. So I would really love to take as many young adults as I can.
Okay, I'm just going to, before we dig deeper, I just want to take an opportunity to address some comments. Guys, if you have any questions or any thoughts or anything you want to say, please drop them in the comments. We are very happy to have engagement from you viewers. That's the whole point, is really to get your questions and involvement as well. So please feel free. Don't hold back. We've got a few viewers from South Africa, Zimbabwe. First question, first comment is from Travis. He's in Bulawayo. He says, there's a bit of a humor bash. He says, Chivu was formerly known as Enkeldoorn, famously known for having a little jail in the local tavern for rowdy patrons. Did you ever end up in that jail? I think we know the answer, that you never ended up in that jail.
Yeah.
Then we've got, hey, Ruth, so proud of you and the work you do. That's nice. Then we've got from Nicola, I love that. Something with meaning, which is rarely taught in schools, especially in this country, the UK. Go Ruth, big respect. That's great. Okay, so let's look at the program a bit more in depth. How long does one trip take? How long does it last? What's the format?
Normally, it takes to about 3 weeks from the moment we go and come back here. It takes about 3 weeks. Last time we took young adults from the States, from the UK, and from here. And they met at the airport in Zimbabwe. That was their first time meeting. But they've created relationships that last for a lifetime. It's like a family now.
And how many kids do you take at once?
The last time we had about we had 15 young adults and 3 adults.
18 people at once?
Yes.
Wow, you are brave. And so for 18 people, sorry, carry on.
No, it's actually very enjoyable. You really love it. You just, it's so nice, especially when you see people have got different accents trying to understand one sentence.
I know what that's like from working in the tourism industry. I used to teach survival courses in Vic Falls, and our maximum cutoff was 12 participants. And if there was 12, it was a lot to handle. And there were 3 instructors doing those 12 participants. It wasn't like just me. So it's a hell of a big commitment with 18 people. So when you take a group like that, is the age split? Do you try and book similar age groups together on specific trips, or do you mix it up completely?
I mix up completely. The older ones look after the younger ones. It's like a family.
That makes perfect sense. So that you're creating that real responsibility between each other and the community. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And from a facilitation point of view, do you go alone with them, or do you have other people helping you with the whole thing?
Actually, I've got a parent that I always go with, because what happened? This parent, she had a child. For my first trip, she had a child that was really going off the rail. So, and this child was really young. So instead of me taking all the responsibility, we went together with the parent. So then the parent became part of the. Oh my gosh, I don't know what I did there. Sorry. Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. So the parent became part of the program. So I go with her every time, because she actually enjoyed it more than the child. And it was actually an eye-opener for her that sometimes it's always we talk about the kids, but also sometimes it's the parents that really need to change on how they handle the parenting and how they handle things. So she became part of the program. So every time I go with the parents.
I see. Trav Norkey is asking a question that I was going to ask as well. He's saying,
yeah.
you have a set agenda when you get here, or is there an element of free time for them? Reason for asking is I do quite a bit of work in the bush installing solar pumps, etc., for rural communities. Might be interesting for them to come on a job to see how the rural folk live, laugh, and love despite our country's woes.
No, we do. We actually, when we get to Zimbabwe, we have got places that we go. They actually go to the village and spend time in the village and actually do what an African child do. Wake up in the morning, go and fetch water, look for firewood, cook in the hut, and do exactly how another child live. It's like taking a walk in someone's life. It's like experiencing the other side of life. So we do go to the villages, we go to the orphanages, we go also to the game parks. We do a lot of things. Really, it's a package.
So which area are you operating in for that then? Are you going back to Chivu for that, or whereabouts?
No, actually we go to different, like for example, if there's somebody that I really know that comes from here, like they are born in Zimbabwe and they live in Zimbabwe, they can say, okay, can you come to our village? And if I research and find that the village is comfortable, people, they're safe and everything, we go to that village. But normally we go from here and we go to Mount Darwin, because in Mount Darwin, I've got a project that I do with the young adults there and with women. So we go there. We've got a land where we are putting up a women's hospital. So we go there and they actually go into the fields. They do. So the people in that village, they understand that we come and we actually help in the village. And we also go to the orphanages as well.
Okay, great. That's cool. So on the wildlife side of things, when you go into the game parks, which game parks are you operating in?
Oh, we actually it's not sort of like a treat, because you know how the Western children really love animals. And we go to Victoria Falls. That's sort of our last part of the trip. We go to Victoria Falls. They do the games. They do rafting, and then we go to the game park around Victoria Falls. And the last time we actually went into the bush and I can't remember the name of the place where they actually had to see animals come at night and like sunset, and you have to drink water, and it was really beautiful. And we had sort of a campfire there. It was really nice.
Oh, wow. Sounds great. So we've got another comment from Vusa, friend of mine from Vic Falls. He says, no pressure. Just checking what's the sustainability plan for this program, because most of the time such great initiatives die away when the initiator loses capacity to keep it running. That's a good point. But
yeah, it is.
Yeah. So do you have anything to respond to that?
Yeah, what I normally do when I take the young adults, we keep in touch, and also we focus on saying, okay, who's going with us to the next assignment. So most of the young adults that we take, they really want to go back, and they help in the fundraising, they help in whatever way, and they actually, because they know each other from their groups, they know people who are struggling. Like the last time we went, we took a young adult from the UK. Yeah, a friend had committed suicide, and they're only 17. And then we went back. They went back, and then another of your friend committed suicide as well. So she wrote to me and said, Ruth, I had not gone to be people that had committed suicide, but the trip was such an eye opener that there's actual life, and there's actually joy, and there's actually peace in the other side of the world. So when you go next time, I've got two friends that I really want them to be on the program. So that's how the program grows. And it's not growing because of me, but it's growing because of the young adults that have gone to the trip that want to keep it alive.
But and from a point of view of facilitators and stuff, are you training somebody to take over from you eventually, or how is that going to look?
Yes, what I it's an organization, so it doesn't really belong to me. So what I do is the people that I'm taking are the ones that I'll take over.
Okay, cool. That's very interesting. And from a boots on the ground perspective, so you're traveling from Australia and with the guests and meeting them in Zimbabwe, or you travel together to Zimbabwe?
The group that comes from here, we travel together. We get from here together. We have Sharon, the mother that I was talking about. Mm-hmm. So if I'm in Zimbabwe that time, Sharon comes with the young adults. Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Or if I'm staying back, Sharon comes with the young adults back.
And so then, so the two of you travel together with the group. And then from the boots on the ground perspective, what happens when you arrive? Where's your first port of call when you arrive in Zimbabwe?
We have, in Zimbabwe, I've got a registered charity organization called Ruth Pasi Foundation, which actually has people that work in that foundation. So those are the people that sort of greet us. And then we start the program by doing things like we empower the young adults and we empower women and the girls. And also we work a lot with people that live with albinism. We focus a lot on people that live with albinism. At the moment we have the people that live with albinism that will sort of come in and take over. We've got a center in Butu where we are actually building where people with albinism can actually go and have a respite, or they can do some things. We are working on where they can do some crafts work or do a lot of things. So those are the people that when we get to Zimbabwe, they greet us and they work with the program.
Oh, I see. And so where does everybody stay from a practical point of view? Where does everybody stay once they arrive?
They stay in Banket, where there's a farm there. That's where we go there and we stay there. And then we operate from that farm to other areas.
Oh, cool. That's amazing. And so from a blow-by-blow point of view, can you run us through like one of the previous programs, how you did it on a day-to-day? So like a day 1, day 2, day 3 sort of plan, so that we can get a very good idea of how it all works.
Okay, so we travel from here to Zimbabwe, which is quite a long trip. So once we get into Zimbabwe, we go straight to the farm where we have 1 day of resting, so people can adjust with the times and the zone. And then on day 2, there are schools around that area that we go to, that we work with, that like, for example, the one school that is around the area, they don't have classrooms. They only have got one big hall where the Form 1, the Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, they learn in one room. So we go with the young adults there. They find out how other people are learning in schools, that they are busy running away from school. Yeah, and they've got all the facilities here, but these ones are actually busy running to school, but they don't have facilities. And 4 teachers can teach in one 4 teachers can in one room teaching all different grades, and there's all sorts of noise. For them, it's actually a wake-up call that, okay, education is very important. They've been running away from school. They don't want to hear anything about school. So that's one big thing. And then we go to a primary school where young adults travel to about 5 to 10 kilometers coming to school with no shoes, nothing on. So they spend a day there actually helping the young adults. We put them in classes where they can actually help. They can feel how to be like a teacher or in a rural setting in Zimbabwe. And then we spend about 2 days there doing that. And then we go from there, we go to an orphanage where they spend 2 to 3 days on the orphanage, actually feeding the kids, cooking for the kids, helping out in whatever way they can. And like the orphanage that we go to, it's in Goromonzi. It's such a small place, and there are about more than 100 kids there who are mostly all under 5. And they live, they spend time in a small room. They don't have, it's like really, so they help out. The last time they help out to build a chicken run so they can actually put the chickens in so they can actually survive. And then after that, we go to we go to a center called Rural Rehabilitation Center where people with disabilities. So we go there, they spend time, people will be playing basketball, but some of these people are disabled. So they sort of mingle with them and understand their lives, how they're living. So they actually become friends because there's a school there. And then we just spend a day or so. So we make, sometimes we do dance competitions, we do things so they can actually understand. And then we go to a village in Mount Darwin where they spend about 3 days there as well, and where they can actually live a life, and they live in the village. They sleep on the floor. They wake up in the morning. They go to look for firewood. They cook on the fire. They go in the bush. They just do exactly the African child, the real life, without having all these gadgets around them. And they actually really enjoy it. They go to the bowl and fetch water, and that water, it becomes so precious because that's the water they're gonna drink, that's the water they're gonna use for cooking, that's the water, and all those things. And then and we'll go in the cities as well. They find out the city life, how the city life is, and they mingle in the city. They find out, okay, they do shopping. That's when they do their shopping. And then from there, we drive from Harare to Victoria Falls. So the journey is quite long, and normally we use the normal, we hire the combi buses, we call them combi. So they get there, they're crammed up, they're sitting there, their legs, all sorts of things that are real, that actually, that actually is like, the vehicle will be safe, but it's not as safe as they think that it's like here. So those are all experiences that they actually, and then we spend time at the Victoria Falls. Then we come back here after we have a 2-day review on how they felt and how was it from the first day they got to Zimbabwe and the last day they come back. What changes them? What do they realize? How most of them, they break down. They don't want to come back because one day realize that there is life without having all these gadgets. There is life that people are always happy. They've got nothing on their table. And also we actually have it how the street kids share things, even though they don't have any, they can also do things. So and then what else do we do? Oh, they go fishing sometimes. We have a day where there's just a break day where they do what they want to do. And they also reflect on their lives. They write down what they've done, how it has changed them, and what they benefit, and what are the downfalls of the program as well. How can they improve it? How can they do? Well, we also spend time in the Zambezi River. We have dinner in the Zambezi River. We have the sunset there. It's just beautiful. I love that one. And because it's really, really nice. And also when we're in Victoria Falls, most of them, they like doing the lion walk, or I can't remember the name they call it, or lion in the morning or something like that. Lion walk with the lions, they feed the elephants. So it's quite an intense program.
Wow. And I would be very interested to hear what advice of improvement some of them have given you. Have you had any feedback for what improvements you can make on it?
Yes, we have. When they want to spend more time in the village. That's one thing. Wow. That they want to spend more time in the village. They also want to, when they go to the orphanage, they also want to have time with the kids, get to know the children, because it's like we don't really have that much time. And with the food they eat, they have their own food, but they also try to eat the food that we have there. We cook there, the salads and the vegetables. But by the time we come back, most of them will be eating sadza. They love it. So so And also, they also want, when we go there, we actually have educational ways where they can actually be taught with some young adults in Zimbabwe on how to survive in these hard times and how do they cope without having the internet all the time. So they actually want to have more time to mingle with people that are of their age and how they are coping. And yet they can't, for example, we went to this school, the school that I was talking about, where they learned, the four of them, the 4 classes in one room. So we said, okay, let's have a dance. And then the people in the young adults in Zimbabwe, they started just saying boom, 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 and there was a rhythm, and they started dancing, And then we said to the guys that we came with, now it's your turn. They started looking for phones. Where is this music? Where is this? They wanted the phone. They wanted the music. But these guys could actually dance without music. And these guys that came from here, they couldn't dance, without music. They wanted the Facebook. It was so funny that, they were actually, for them, it was actually a surprise that, oh, okay, people can actually dance without music,
Yeah, it's amazing. I hope that one of the meals you feed them is my favorite meal from home, Madora.
If you try them, I don't like Madora as well. I'm sorry.
You don't like it?
No, I don't.
That's one of my favorite foods on the planet. I used to eat that almost every single day.
Oh, no way. I can't. Oh my God, no way. They try everything. In when we went the last time we went to Bikita, there's this beetle. I don't know what it's called, but it's a beetle. It's like they call them harurwa, but okay. They could eat them. I could not eat that beetle. It was a beetle.
For those watching who don't know, my daughter is a caterpillar that's about that big. It's the larvae of an emperor moth. It's a mapani worm, and it used to be one of my favorite meals. Just fry them up and eat them like popcorn when I watch movies. But
but they're like you eat them. They've got sand inside them. You can't chew them. They've got sand.
No, you can. I think I better cook them for you one day because it sounds like someone didn't cook them nicely. I'll do my best to convert you to my favorite meal.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit weird because I even eat grasshoppers and other things here in the UK. So
I can eat grasshoppers. Yeah. Yeah.
We've got a comment from Nicola. She says, Ruth, in schools these days, when young people display bad behavior, detentions are by means of writing lines or other punishment focused on young people's dislikes and weaknesses within the educational field. What are your takes on how schools can improve personal growth when these acts are usually occurring for a deeper reason? I think she means the misbehavior is happening for a deeper reason. How could schools support young people when a punishable action has been undertaken rather than focusing time on their weaknesses? What message could you give to teachers anywhere to help and empower their students instead of create a hub of negativity?
Okay, I always feel that when a child is misbehaving, there is something deeper that is behind the child. It's either the child is very inquisitive and they want to find, because if I grew up here, I would have been an ADHD child.
Sorry,
go to the top of the
just before you continue, I just want to qualify your answer to the audience. Ruth has got 7 children, and so what she's about to embark, the topic she's about to embark upon is coming with great wisdom and great experience. So listen carefully.
And teenagers as well. So you know what it means when teenagers lie to you. Okay. Yeah, so I believe that when a child I grew up as a very, very inquisitive child. I would go on the top of the roof, I would climb trees, I would do all sorts of things because I had so much energy. But because in a country where I grew up, where if a child plays, it's okay. Here, when a child plays, there's something wrong with the child. Why do they have too much energy? Why can't they sit still? But all those things. So when a child misbehaves, it's actually, you have to track back what is causing the child to misbehave. Is it because the child has got so much energy that it needs to be channeled in a different manner? Maybe the child needs to play tennis. Maybe the child needs to run. Maybe the child needs to exercise that energy out. So by the time the child is just sitting and watching TV or doing things, they really get bored in class. They can't settle. They can't do so. Their mind is always constantly thinking. So as a parent or as a teacher, you need to find something that challenges that mind that is constantly thinking of doing something. So detention and writing lines does not challenge a child. It just makes a child just copy and write and copy and write. That's why they don't really care whether they're gonna be. So it's good to sit down with the child and find what is actually driving that child to do whatever they're doing. Or even if are they bored with are they not coping with the education system? Are they not coping with life at home? Are they not coping? And then instead of being so negative that you need all these psychologists and need all those people around them and you want to find out a problem, find out what they really like doing and focus on the things that they love doing and who they are. We need to discover who they are as a person, not as a community, but who they are, so that you can actually get to the core of the problem. Because, like, for example, I've got, like what Paul said, 7 young adults, 7 kids. One doesn't even like reading. They don't. And I, as a parent, I discovered that, 2 of them, they just cannot finish an assignment. So if you take them to school, and you say, okay, I want you to finish this, they won't finish it. So they will end up doing things that they don't like doing. So you need to discover what they really like doing. And one of them is a dancer. They just love dancing. So put the energy in their dancing. See that they can dance as much as they want. And you find that instead of all those things that we sort of come and say, we need to detain them, we need to do this, put the energy on something that is positive.
Absolutely. I agree with you totally. So a couple of other comments. We've got Vusa from Vic Falls saying he loves Madora. And he says the Hururua is like a stink bug of sorts, he thinks. So I've never tried them. I'm keen though. I'd be very interested in trying them maybe when my next visit home. Annie Dawson saying, coming in late here, great job, Ruth. How are the trips funded? All personally by participants or funded by social organizations of Australia? Do you do outreach for grants to support the funding, etc.?
I've never really done for grants, but people have actually seen the program. And some of them will say, like companies will say, okay, we'll pay for 2 children. We'll pay for their trips coming back and forth. And it's all like functions, and we do dinners, anything. We sell chocolates, anything that we can actually get to have them, the planes, the flights paid for, and accommodation and the activities. Because the children that I normally take, they're coming from hard backgrounds as well. They don't really have much. Some of them have never been on a plane. So some of them, so it will be like the first trip, and it's quite amazing when you see them really enjoying their first trip, and it's an international trip. And yeah, so we get the funding from well wishers, so from companies that believe in what we are doing. That's how we get funded. We haven't really gone to brand.
So tell us a bit about your Uber driving thing then, because wasn't that another channel that you were using to raise money?
Yeah, I'm an Uber driver, so for me, I don't know whom I gave an Uber to, but all I know is that they asked me why I was driving, and I told them that, you know what, I've seen a lot of young adults here that are some of them to Africa, where they really don't have anything, but most of them are not depressed. They're actually happy. So by talking on what I do as a driver and the reason why I was driving, it ended up that we had I picked up somebody from Uber, and then they actually referred me to the Uber in the States, and they actually funded, and I went together with the Uber people to Zimbabwe, and they're the ones that took that video because of the passion that they thought it was such a great program because of the young adults here who commit suicide that are so many. And some of them, it's just a perspective of life, and they can see that, oh, it's actually, you can actually live and be happy with nothing, you know.
So you said that a lot of your candidates come from hard backgrounds. How do you do the selection process? How do you choose who goes and how does that work?
Like what I said, and the other thing as well, I'm a Rotarian as well. So the Rotarians, they also help me to do my programs when I'm doing like dinners. They help me out. I'm a Rotarian. What was your question again? Sorry, I just forgot.
How do you select the candidates that are going to go on the trip? And
Okay. What I've done with Sharon is the one that actually goes in that process of selecting. But most of the children that we're taking, right, the young adults we're taking now, are referred by their friends. Because when we take a child that is struggling in life, and they are when we come back, he's got a set of group that he gets along with that also struggling. So they know each other. So whilst we are there in Zimbabwe, we ask them, how did you find the program? Whom do you think can benefit from this program? Like, for example, I was telling you the young adult from the UK who said she had two of your friends that she knew that they were suffering from depression and they were not happy. So those are sort of the targets. Now we say, okay, we went with this child, but she's got two friends that are struggling and she benefited. So she becomes a positive impact on their friends. And then the friends come along with us. So it's a program that they are referring each other because of the needs that they know they have in their community.
I see. No, that's a good way. It's quite an organic system then, and I think that way it gets to the people that need it the most. Yeah. You got another one from Annie Dawson. I think there is so much potential in terms of this being an alternative therapy for depression, behavioral issues, etc. Excellent. Wishing you all the very best. So that's great support. Guys, if you've got any more questions, please drop them in because we are now at the 45-minute mark, which means we've got roughly 15 minutes left. So chuck your questions in now, get your comments in because we'll address as many of those as we can. We try not to make this go over an hour because it gets a bit long. Also, I'm sure Ruth is dying to get back to bed. It's almost 4 a.m. there, having woken up at 2:30 to join us. So yeah, drop your questions in there. We appreciate every single one of them. Every comment is valid. So so you seem to be quite dynamic, Ruth, on various levels because you added me to your business group meetings on Mondays. Tell us about that and what's behind that.
What I've noticed that in most of the people that come from Africa, the struggle is in supporting one another. Something, and for a person to succeed, they need another person to support them. So we normally, if I look back from Zimbabwe, we have people that have run businesses like when we're growing up, the bus companies. Once the person dies, the business dies. Well, we've got in the Western countries where we have, for example, we've got Londro, or we've got Dunlop, or we've got all those companies. The people that started those companies are long gone, but it's still running. So I thought we need that in the African community that, Paul, you run your business. I am the one that supports you to keep the business running, you know. So we need to teach each other on how to support each other in business and how to grow our businesses so that if I have a weakness, you pick up on my weakness, you support me. Instead of me concentrating on the weakness, I'll concentrate on my strength. And then you help me to grow as a team. So that's how that's why I started this African Theatres Business Barbecue, because I called it Business Barbecue because most of the Africans, they love eating. They love everything to do. It's about meat. It's about food. So when you say networking, they think, oh, what's that? But when you talk about food, they come together you know how you barbecue, Paul, you know how you barbecue your sausages, you know how you put your madora, that thing, you know, you were talking about madora we were talking about something else, but you put in the food, you put in the madora because so it's something that was really common in Africa. And I take it from the concept called nimbe. I don't know if you know that. When in the olden days, when people were actually harvesting or they're plowing, what they used to do is that they would go to one person's place, and the whole village would actually help that person to do the plowing, the planting, until everything is done. And then it's like a network until the field is done, and they'll be eating, they'll be dancing, they'll be doing a lot of things, so that person can have a bamba harvest. So if for us to have bamba harvest in our businesses in Africa, we need to do that. We need to go back to that concept of working together as a team and growing our businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this really resonates with me in a lot of ways, because my personal ethos that I've tried to work with over, I don't know, the last 10 years or so, is I believe that my own success hinges on the fact that I facilitate the success of others. So I believe firmly in the success comes to those who facilitate the success of others. And as long as you're helping to facilitate other people's successes, your success happens automatically as a result. That's one of the big things that's very important to me. And yeah, I really like the concept of the business barbecue. You're right about the food thing. It doesn't take long before we start talking about food. And if you look at Cesar, a friend of mine, Cesar, a previous guest on the show, he's saying, great discussion and thanks for the heads up, Ruth. I love barbecue. Definitely a great catchment there. So, so yeah, for sure. He's in agreement with that fully. But yeah, so that whole thing of being supportive, I read a book. I was very, very fortunate enough. A few years ago, I had a sort of a mentor type person that helped me a lot in my early years of trying to be a businessman. And he gave me a book to read called Co-opetition, which is something that you might be interested in, and anybody watching might be interested in. But basically, the concept of co-opetition was cooperation through competition, and that you don't always have to be adversarial in your approach to business. There's a lot to be said about creating cooperation, even between your competition and yourself, to create win-win situations wherever possible, rather than always looking for a win and a lose. And the book gives amazing, massive corporate type of examples on how co-opetition can work. I can't remember right now. I should probably re-look at that book. But it always stayed in the back of my head that the first prize is always to create a win-win and a relationship, even with my competition, where we can both benefit. Because at the end of the day, there's plenty of cake to go around. But if we're all fighting over the same piece of cake, the rest of the cake just goes to rot. So I think that's an amazing concept, and thank you for adding me to that group. I'm looking forward to the next meeting.
Well, thank you so much, and you actually empower us as well. What you were saying that day, it was actually like, it's amazing on the things that you're doing, and you know, just to know that you're doing so much, and you can we can actually benefit more in the group than what you think, because there's a lot that people can learn from you.
Well, there's a lot I can learn from everybody as well. So it's again, it's that whole situation of, I mean, there's the old African proverb. I don't know which country it comes from, but it's one of my favorites as well. That says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So I think that's
Kenya.
Oh, is it from Kenya?
Yep.
There you go. Yeah. I don't see any more comments coming through. So I'm going to ask you the last question that, oh, here we go. Here's Rosie's just come through. Hi, Rosie. Rosie's saying, yes, that's true. And sometimes people struggle because they feel so alone. I always reach out to my Zimbabwean sisters when I feel down or need moral support. Zimbabwean women are so strong and so wise. I'm not sure the context of the comment because I think she might have logged on late. So this might be a comment coming through from previously in the, she's probably watching from the beginning. And so commenting on something like this. Andrew's a good friend of mine from Bulawayo, currently living in Botswana. The challenge we have in our generation is that we see someone else's cake bigger than our own and don't know where we got this attitude. We adopt the challenge of keeping up with the Joneses and forget to practice Ubuntu, which is correct for sure. It's the grass is greener approach as well, where you're always looking at the other cake and not satisfied with your cake. And I think an even better analogy would be that you are so busy strangling your mealies and wishing they were as big as your neighbors without watering them and waiting for them to grow at the end of the day, isn't it? So the trick is to keep watering those mealies and use the neighbors' mealies as a motivation to realize that at the end of the day, yours will be the same if you keep watering.
Yeah,
So,
true. And also the other thing that is, as much as a country we go through a lot of things that are going around right now, let's not focus on the negative. Let's focus on the beautiful things that Zimbabwe has and the beautiful people that we have, you know, and work together as a team. We as long as you're born in Africa, your parents are from Africa, you're an African. Doesn't matter what color you are. And if we get to know that concept that you and me are brothers and we can actually work together and build our own village, you know, it's amazing because you find that we migrate to these countries, right? And we end up being again a class of people that are from Zimbabwe. It doesn't matter whether you're Indian or colored or white. We end up because we have got the roots of being an African. And that does not go away. And sometimes you find that we have got a lot of sense of humor, you know, especially, I mean, when you get to a place you're working there, it's either you're very loud or you're very happy, or there's something that is very different from the people that you're working with. And you can actually feel it yourself, you know, and say, oh, okay. And then you meet up with other Zimbabweans, regardless that they're white or black or whatever. We start talking about, and you're so loud, and you know, my kids, they call me, oh, mom, you're so loud. Oh, mom, you're so loud. I said, nice. And then we meet up with other Zimbabweans. I've got a sister that I call my sister from the other mother. She is as loud as me, you know. And we just start laughing. Why? Because this is our nature. We are happy people. Africans naturally are happy people because of the environment that we grew up in. It's an environment of just not taking life so serious and not overthinking. Even if we don't have things, it's still okay. You can still joke at a funeral. You can still dance at a funeral. You can still joke in so many ways, you know. There's so many things that we can actually focus on as Africans to rebuild our African nation together, and like as iron sharpens iron, we can sharpen one another and we can be actually as happy as.
Absolutely, I agree. We've got a comment from a friend of yours that you introduced me to. It's Mabel Munyumani. It says, love your work, Ruth. Having worked in mental health, this is so needed. Your work should be rolled out as therapy and a resilience building program in schools. So for other people who don't know, Mabel has written a book, and I think it's about to be published. So at some stage, she's probably going to be a guest on this show as well, and we'll be chatting about the book after I've read it. And yeah, so looking forward to that. Thanks for coming and joining us, Mabel. Then Tanya Lopes. Ruth, you just spoke a lot of truth with your last comment about how Zimbos are missing home.
Let's go to when we go to the next trip, let's go together and have a party there. You know how we love parties.
You better be taking me on one of these trips soon.
Oh, yes. I think you'll be actually a great person to take on because you've actually done a lot of things in the Victoria Falls. And when we take the young adults to Victoria Falls, it's just like a new world to them. It's the real life, you know?
Yeah.
They just get so immense in that. They love it. You can actually, you know, the good part of this program is you come with a child that is not happy, who doesn't really joke around. We come back with a child that is out there doing things, self-confidence, self-esteem, and really doing things, believing in themselves. one parent asked me, what did you do to my daughter? I said, I didn't do anything. Says, she never wanted to go to school. Now she goes to school. She's actually finished a program, and she's now gone back to the community to help the young adults that are depressed. And how amazing is that when a child doesn't want to go to school, stays in the park, the school thinks that she's just nothing. And now becomes one of the people that are actually helping the community with young adults that people don't really understand them, what they're going through, Life on the Facebook, life on TV is not life, it's fake. As a child, their mind doesn't grow. You want your mind to grow. Let them fall. It's okay. They won't die. They will have skills, Let them, there's so many things that they learn that we're actually overprotecting them, but actually helping them to get into depression because we are overprotecting them, So when they go there, they find, oh, okay, you can actually live a life without that too much protection, too much guidance, too much. Let them work it out themselves.
Absolutely. And I think I know definitely from the previous work I've done with groups and stuff, the transformative process where you see the actual transformation from day one to the last day, it's the most rewarding and an incredible thing to see how someone entered a program and walked out of it like almost completely transformed is amazing.
And that's one of the things that drives me, that I go with a child that is depressed. I come back with a young adult that is full of life. To me, is the success.
It's amazing. Well, we're coming up on the hour now, so I just want to ask you one more question, and that question to leave everybody with is, what is the message that you want to, what is the message you want to leave everybody with today, and what is the legacy you would like to leave the planet with when you one day depart?
The legacy that I really want to leave is about empathy. Let's have empathy with one another. When someone is going through hard times, depression, anxiety, it's real. And let's take a hand and walk together with them. Take a walk in their shoes and walk with them. And also with the young adults, let's help them to discover themselves by just giving them support in whatever they really want to do. And let them explore themselves and find out exactly who they are. It makes it much, much easier for them. So empathy is my word. Let's have empathy on one another.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Andrew has got something to say, saying being African doesn't have to be about of a particular skin tone. As an African, Paul is my brother from another mother, and I believe he encapsulates what it means to be an African more than I do. I will never disown my heritage, but I do appreciate the work and exposure Paul has given us, not only as Zimbabweans, but as African children of the soil. Paul may not be in Africa, but I know without a doubt where his heart calls home. Exposing our children to the values and treasures of the motherland should be a priority. I'm yet to meet a child who came to visit Zimbabwe and not go back with epic stories to tell of his beautiful country. Wow, Andrew, thank you very much for that. That's amazingly kind words coming out of your mouth, and thank you so much, mate. You're going to make me cry if you carry on like that. I wanted to ask you, Ruth, how often do your kids get to see home?
They do, because my youngest is 18. So my other three, Doreen and the twins, they actually had a 1-year trip where they went to actually volunteer in Kenya for a month and in Zambia, and they traveled to 15 countries. So they do, yes. So yes, they do go to Africa quite often. They love going home. And for them, they grew up here, but the experience that they've gained, especially in helping out in Kenya, it was amazing. And it's like, it's an eye opener for them. They actually traveled quite a bit by themselves, which is quite good because it gives them a bit of wisdom.
And do your kids all speak Shona?
They try. They understand, but their Shona is broken. It's like a broken Shona. But
Which Shona do you
but
speak? Is it Zezuru or which Shona do you speak? Is it Zezuru?
Zezuru.
Okay, cool.
Zezuru. Shona.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I don't speak to them in English. I actually speak to them in Shona. So they do understand. But when they answer you back, sometimes you can see that it's a British Shona.
Well, that's part of it, isn't it? You'll probably
Yeah.
find as they get older, they'll be more interested in trying to adopt it more, isn't it?
No, they actually have. They now actually, because when they were growing up, they didn't really like listening to, because they had so many friends that are Australian. So they didn't really like listening to the Chimbetus, the what. Now they actually Google Shona songs and dance to them because they love dancing. And they say, okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tanya says, very impressed with this kid program, very inspiring. Good job letting people know about this, Paul and Ruth. Very powerful things you are doing. Thank you, Tanya. That's very kind of you. And Andrew says, Ruth, you're a team player, an amazing soul. So that's great. Right, I think we're going to wrap it there. We've just hit 61 minutes.
I think before you go, Paul, I was thinking that next time, instead of doing the interview on me, the young adults that we are in the UK, that you can actually do the interview with. They can tell about the program more than me because they walked the walk. You know,
that's a great idea. If you put me in touch, no problem. I'll be happy to chat to anybody from the program.
Yes. I think that will be. I think to actually benefit a lot more parents in the UK or in the States or here, that if you talk to the young adults that went, because they can actually talk about what they experienced, how they loved it, and how the downfall of it, and how the benefits of it, more than me.
Yeah, that'll be great. Will you put will you send me some links to your program and to whatever, and then I will put them in the comment section of this video so everyone can access it and see more about it as well.
Okay.
That'll be great. But otherwise, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you, everybody, for watching and getting involved and speaking with us. We do this every Wednesday, 7 p.m. CAT, 6 p.m. BST. And every Wednesday, I have a new guest lined up. I have guests and shows lined up from now until the 9th of September. So if you know anybody who's interested and wants to get involved and wants to be on the roster, let them know, and I am taking bookings from the 9th of September onwards. So any Wednesday after the 9th of September is still open, but they're closing up quickly. So bring them out. Let me know who wants to be involved. I think next week we've got a very interesting guest from the United States. He's a TV producer that I worked with on The Amazing Race, and he's produced various things. I'm going to say Survivor and Naked and Afraid, but I might be lying. But I'll give you all the details and post them in the groups. If you like this content and everything, please join the Facebook group Soshing with Suntwe. There you can discuss things more. You can get involved in the conversation, discuss amongst yourselves. You'll be the first ones to know when the next show is coming on. It'll also give you reminders to know when to be online at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. There'll be extra content here and there, and I really want to create a nice community that is not afraid to talk about difficult subjects. I want to have a nice community that shows empathy towards each other and has civilized debates where we can talk about the hard things without getting heated, and really try and understand each other and work through things and get some real good topics going. So every couple of weeks I do a panel discussion like I did last week. So most of the shows are one-on-one guests, but sometimes we do a panel discussion. And yeah, if you want to know more about me, if you haven't heard about me before or where I am, just check out my Facebook page, check out my YouTube channel. You can find me on everything at Raw Teasdale, R-A-W Teasdale. Or just search for Paul Teasdale on any platform and you should be able to find me. Ruth, thank you so much for taking this time out and waking up in the middle of the night, and your dedication is incredible. Your heart is incredible. You're a breath of fresh air and a light in the darkness. So thank you so much for everything you do and for being with us today.
All right, thank you, Paul. I'm just looking forward for you to cook Madura for me.
It's a deal. I'll cook them for you when we go on the trip together.
All right. Okay, then. Thank you.
Good night. Good
Bye.
night. Good night.